rubber sector actors of Liberia, CORSALI for short. Today's press conference will be addressed by CORSALI Chairman, Mr. James W. Sekia. So, Mr. Sekia, this is the press. This is Mr. Sekia.
Thank you very much. The capable leaders and gallant members of the Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia, representatives of consortiums of rubber sector actors of Liberia here present and in other parts of the country, members of the media here and far, fellow Liberians in radio land under our voices, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The consortiums of rubber sector actors in Liberia, CORSALI, a duly registered advocacy group under the laws of the Republic of Liberia, comprises of rubber farmers, rubber brokers, truckers, rubber exporters, and forwarding agents, wishes to express its continued gratitude to you, member of the 4 estates and the Economic Freedom Fighter of Liberia, for your dedications and commitment to the struggle, a struggle to liberate the economically deprived masses of Liberia in general, and rubber sector actors in particular. The rubber sector history is replete with the dominance of few elite institutions to the disadvantage of the poor Liberian rubber farmers and other Liberian actors which work against a free competitive market on the basis of willing buyer and willing seller. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the 4 estates, we have called you here today to use this medium to send a clarion call to the general public and the government of Liberia in particular, that send the issuance of the Executive Order number 124, which bans the exportation of unprocessed rubber from Liberia last December. CORSALI have made several representations to the government of Liberia through comprehensive letters and concept notes stating how the ban is affecting several Liberian businesses and the general economy, as well as the taxations of Liberia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the members of the 4 estates, to date, we have written the speakers of the House of Representatives and the President pro tempore of the Liberian Senate of the 55th Legislature, requesting them to intervene in lifting the ban. Today, they have chosen not to respond to our grievances, even though they have the particular responsibility to the people of Liberia who elected them into power to seek and protect their well-being. Secondly, we have also presented letters and proposals to the Ministries of Finance and Development Planning and the Ministry of Agriculture, expressing our grievances on how poor rubber farmers and other actors are being affected by these curious and inhumane decisions by the past government of Liberia, and made recommendations on how to revitalize the rubber sector, using particular approaches that will make all the actors in the sector independent, but working in coordination. Again, like the legislatures, all those virtuous pieces of information are apparently being ignored, while the hopes and aspirations of our people lies in the balance. Furthermore, We wrote His Excellencies Ambassador Joseph Nima Boakai Sr., President of the Republic of Liberia, requesting the lifting of the Executive Order 124 and indicating that it is not in the interest of the Liberian masses and or the economy, but rather it is intended to strangulate and suffocate the poor farmers and other actors, Liberia-owned businesses, to the advantage of few foreign processors or concessionaires. Like all the other actors of the state, these legitimate concerns are apparently again being ignored. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the four estates, and people of Liberia, we have come here to inform you and the masses of our people, the rubber farmers, the rubber brokers, rubber exporters, truckers, and forwarding agents, that all our legitimate concerns have been abandoned by the states of Liberia and its actors. Hence, to date, we have about 34 containers of rubber ice, the free port of Monrovia, since December 2023, accumulating storage fee amounting to thousands of United States dollars. And hundreds more containers at buying stations across the country. Sadly, because of these unfortunate situations mentioned, some of our members' bank loans are now in default, and they are unable to make payment because of the ban. These loans were secured by their properties, and if they do not make their payment in time, they risk losing those properties to the bank, thereby rendering them and their family homeless in their own country. Generally, we cannot afford to meet all daily personal obligations. We are now left to face the harsh economic conditions of the day with no one caring to know about that. Consequently, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the four estates, now that we have made all these efforts to amicably resolve these issues affecting our lives, and there seems to be no urgencies on the part of the states and its actors to address these concerns, we, CORSA, who are affected by this evil ban, have decided to come out in the next few days in large numbers at strategic locations in public squares in Monrovia to let all the inhabitants of this republic to know that all is not well, and that we are being economically and socially suffocated and isolated, rendering us impotent to cater to our families and to contribute to the growth and development of our country's economy. A condition we can no longer bear, as we are prepared to take our destination into our own hands. Remember, the right to life is a fundamental human right that no one should be deprived of. Members of the four estates, CORSA reaffirms its commitment to the promotion and protection of the free market system and hold dear its valuable principles of competition, which promotes and sustains free trade. Furthermore, CORSA holds the view and says that the rubber sector of Liberia may be left alone to operate on the basis of willing sellers and willing buyers. This will greatly help to improve the lives of the rubber sector actors and their families in particular, and the Liberian populace in general. True to this effect, the growth, development, and sustainability of powerful economic nations of our today's world rests solely on free trade. Finally, we call on well-meaning Liberians to join us in the struggles against this wicked Executive Order 124 that seeks to suppress the already suffering masses. Long live our republic, long live economic freedom. 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the press, that was the voice of Mr. James W. Sekia, the chairperson of CORSA. We will now be turning to the media for questions. We will take the maximum of 5 questions.
Thank you. My name is Strogon Flammer and I report for Spoon FM and TV. I'm concerned. First, in your letter, you did not mention who imposed the ban, the executive order, and whether you were consulted as stakeholders in the sector before this executive order was issued, whether you were consulted prior to the issuance of this executive order, and what specific actions you're going to take in the coming days.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you listened to the reading. We talked about past government. The past government was headed by President George Manewia, and there are a lot of communications that we have written that some may be in your possessions that also carry President George Manewia. So it is clear that we are talking about the past government that was being headed by President George Manewia. Then let's come to consultation. There was nothing like consultation. In a civilized society where the rights of peoples are respected, before you come up with any decision like that, you have to build consensus, especially in the sectors that is owned by people. And let me also make it clear that this rubber sector, especially the smallholder rubber sector that we represent, does not belong to a concession company, neither was it planted by the government of Liberia. It's something that we did on our own to sustain ourselves and our family. So even if government decides to come out with any decision like that, I think it was prudent for the government to come out and build a consensus with us. Because this property is not a concession. Yes, we pay taxes to government. I mean, we respect the government, and the government is also responsible to protect us. But the past government feel there was nothing a consensus building. The last question you asked is, what are we intending to do? In the first place, we believe in social dialogue. And that is the reason why people have not heard anything negative about us. These institutions, CORSAS is coming out, but CORSAS is also coming out of the rubber sector. We have a rubber sector organization by the name of National Rubber Brokers and Farmers Union. And it's coming out and with all these groups from the truckers or the exporters, the forwarding agent, all these people have been operating in the country. And nobody has heard any negative thing about us. We believe in social dialogue. But where we create a forum for social dialogue and people feel that we are nothing, they can't listen to us, we will be left with no alternative. The only thing is that we can use power. We're not going to carry on violence. We're not going to do anything that will bring destruction, but we will create the avenue that will make the public to know that we are not satisfied. Simple.
So I'm pressed to ask. I'm Francis Boyi and read for the Front Page Africa newspaper. So today you are having a press conference, and I've also observed the presence of political institutions being a part of this press conference. Do you care to tell us the role of the EFFL in line with that of your organization?
Well, you may call the EFL political organization, but that's a civil society group. And the EFL is responsible. It has a role to make sure that the right of people the rights of peoples are protected economically, and this is one of the violations of human rights when it comes to the economy, to our national economy. So it draws economic freedom fighter in because this is unfair. You don't just come out with some decision to force people into a condition that you will use to exploit them. So if you come out, even if you want to add value, it's not a bad thing. We are not against the value addition that we're talking about. But value addition has nothing to do with forcing monopoly. If you create a condition that you want to strangulate people, it means that you want to exploit people. So freedom fighter will have every right to intervene. And there is a reason why you see why they are here. Exploitation economically, people trying to exploit us from what we have labored for. So they have every right to be here.
So lastly from my end, in your press statement, you made mention that you've been on this since the government of President we have a change in leadership, but it's the same Liberian government. So you've been talking this for some time now. So now we have a new leadership. Have you met with the new leadership or the new commerce minister in terms of how you could sit in dialogue on this issue before coming up with an alternative?
Yeah, we are breaking a lot of communication, and I might also be grateful to some of the officials of the current government. It's there that they are just starting. Some are trying to make things work to address the issue, but we suspect that some are there also that want to take sides.
What are those?
I can't come out with anybody name right now. Our message is we want this Executive Order 124 revoked, and there should be an open market, free trade, willing buyer, willing seller.
Okay, so my name is Claudio Stephen Jr. and I write for the Daily Observer newspaper. I'm an agricultural reporter. But my concern, I've been drawn to your statement that if the government don't give ears to you, if I heard you right, you guys are going to come out to let the public know. I'm curious to know, how are you going to come out?
Well, under our law, especially when it comes to law, under the executive law, especially when it comes to labor practices law, power is the last option. I told you today that we believe in social dialogue. And there is a reason why all along we engage in we carry on constructive engagement. But where we expect people, I mean, even if you are not ready to respond to all, to address our problem, at least come out, set a committee to find out from all why it's hurting all. But if you just close your mouth, you just sit down and say, I don't care, who I did, then of course, the last option will be to use power. And the power we're talking about is not to get in the street and destroy anything. We're not going to cause anybody. And our members are very trained, but we'll create the conditions that will be embarrassing, that will draw the attention of government and actors to act.
And lastly, from my end, someone will say the government is just 1 month, 1 day. Why are you pressurizing
the government? Is just 1 month, one day, but it has been addressing some problems that are not even very salient than what we're talking about. On a daily basis, the government is meeting with people. We read newspapers. We on the net, the government is addressing issues. And I thought that this issue of the ban would have been even the first thing for the government to address. And let me tell you, some of us are talking so were being haunted because politically, the past government said that we did not cooperate with them to vote for them and that they were going to fight us. Our life was in risk. So we had to work extra mile to make sure that the current government succeed. Now, it means that if the government had lost the election, then by this time or in exile. So we would to raise for you why you will still be sitting down, and the very people who were already hunting all, and you dragging the issues that they were fighting all over. In the first place, the rubber we're talking about is not from any company farm. It's not for government, it's for us. We have the right to survival. You don't treat us like that. Address this issue, Mr. President. I think you're hearing me. We fight for you. We took risk. If we have not won them, but this time sort of all in exile. So we win again, then we sit down and we start going through frustration again. Then people laugh at, you think you have to vote. The people you have to vote, yeah, there. But I know that this government will do well, and we want this government to succeed. I know President Boakai is a very good man. He will address the issue. Maybe one or two presidents may be around there providing wrong information or hiding onto information. And there is a reason why we have to draw public attention. So people who want to practice that can desist.
Yeah, so lastly from my end, why do you want the government to lift up this ban?
Because I want to survive. I want this government to lift this ban because it is not necessary. So if you talk about adding value, we did value change. I did the training for 3 years. There are leakages in this country, in the rubber sector, that have not been addressed. How do you come out with executive order? To add value is a process and not an event. I told you about leakages in the first place. 90% of the small farmers who produce in the higher production of rubber in this country lacks access to improved planting material. You're not thinking about how you establish a bubble garden with improved rooms for these farmers to plant. You're not thinking about how you provide training in rubber culture practices. You're not thinking about providing some extension services, that will improve these farmers to produce a product that will give them good yield. And you're not even thinking about enriching a market. Just 8-9 years ago, we suffered in this place with this thing, executive order. When the same people went and felt that they were going to add value to like rubber products. Executive Order 50 was issued on April 5, 2013. From April 5, 2013 up to this time, have you seen a condom in Liberia with a brand new made in Liberia? Why people might continue to confuse people? We are not against value addition, but it should be properly arranged. Those leakages might be addressed before you lean in. But you don't just come out because you heard that they're talking about value addition, then you go tell president or tell government, okay, pass the executive order. They pass the executive order. And when the executive order was passed 2013, the few companies, those 2 processing companies here, we suffer a lot. It used to take us now 3 weeks or a month to do one sale. Because they lack the capacity to buy the rubber. And they also use it in that process, they can offer you anything they want to offer. They can come out with any draconian policy from their concession to treat you. And you have no option. So we experience it. Should we say it again to allow it go? We agree with value chain, but let all of us start. Let's start building consensus. Let's put the proper system into place. It's a process and not an event. After we have addressed all those leakages, we will get there in the future.